Hey everybody, David Guido here, personal development coach, trainer, speaker, and author of the book, What If? 30 Days to Powerful New Perspective. I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever felt that you couldn't do something? Have you ever felt that you weren't worthy? Have you ever felt like there was something you wanted, but you hadn't done enough to earn it? Have you ever felt like the things that you want, the goals that you have, the things that you're stretching for are above you, and that you're beneath it all? A job, a promotion, a relationship that you either want to start or a relationship that you've had that's kind of soured, and you just feel like there's nothing you can do about it. You're not worthy of that relationship. You're not worthy of that job, of that promotion, of that health success, that financial success. Have you ever just simply felt like you're completely unworthy because you've never done anything? If you've been there, me too. A lot of you know my story that, Christmas Day 2009, I woke up in a 400 square foot apartment all by myself with 3 pieces of furniture. And about the only thing I had of any substance was a hangover. There were a lot of decisions that were made in the years leading up to that. There were a lot of things I didn't do, decisions I should have made that I didn't make, that all led me to that point in 2009, where I just had nothing. But what generated those decisions or those non-decisions was because I felt completely unworthy. I had felt like in my life I had accomplished nothing. And what I finally discovered was that that's not true. That I had discovered what I discovered was I had accomplished a lot. I had a lot of victories. And for me, realizing that I had had victories in every area of my life, that all started when I began my spiritual journey. When I realized whose I am, and when I realized who loves me, and when I realized that I'm a child of His, everything changed for me. And I began writing this victory list, this list of all of the things that I've done, these great victories that I've had. And you've had great victories too. And I would encourage you to embark on a spiritual journey similar to the one that I embarked on, your own path, but a spiritual journey. I would encourage that. But you don't need that spiritual journey to create a victory list. The great Zig Ziglar, my mentor, he coined that phrase, victory list, and I think it's so appropriate. I think it's the right way to describe it. It's a victory list. It's a list of the victories you've had, big, small, medium, and everything in between. And you can still create your own, regardless of where you're at. Why? Because every single one of you has had victories. I had victories. I didn't know that. And if you are sitting there right now thinking you have not had victories, or you don't have anything of worth to talk about that you've accomplished or achieved, or if you feel like you're unworthy, I'm here to tell you that that is not true. I lived that life, and it was a life of a lie. And you do not need to live that life of a lie, because you've had victories, and you've had a ton of them. And so what we're going to look at this week is, okay, so where do I find those victories? Where do they come from? How do I create that victories list? And then we're going to look at the 5 areas, the 5 benefits, the 5 potential sources or potential places of impact if you create this victories list. So where do we find victories? Well, the short answer is everywhere. Literally, we find those victories everywhere. Let's look at work for a minute. Have you ever interviewed for a job and got the job. That's a victory. Have you ever accomplished something at work, a task, a goal? That's a victory. Are you in sales? Have you sold a product? That's a victory. Are you in production? Did you produce something? Did you produce something? That's a victory. Did you get a promotion? That's a victory. Victory after victory after victory after victory. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause this. I want you to stop this tape, and I want you to take a couple of minutes. And I want you to write down 5 things that you've done, that you've accomplished, 5 victories. And they could be anything from I fixed my broken email to I made a multi-million-dollar sale. So something that would seem minor to something that would seem major, but at the end of the day, they're all victories. Get them written down now. So stop the tape and do that. Okay, so hopefully you're back. And if you didn't, you thought that was just a weird pause. If you didn't stop. But hopefully you stopped and you wrote down a couple more things. So let's look at relationships. Have you ever successfully courted somebody? Have you ever had a great relationship? Are you in a great relationship now that you contribute to, that you serve your partner and they serve you and they contribute to you? That's a victory. Have you ever had that? Have you ever been there? Are you there now? If you're sitting there saying, well, yeah, I had a great relationship and then it all fell apart and I did this and I did that and I ruined it, or they did this or they did that and they ruined it, that may be true. But it was great at one time, wasn't it? And that's a victory. And one of the things we do is we focus on the defeat. We focus on the failure. We focus on the thing that maybe didn't go right. We focus on the mistake that maybe we made. And what we forget is that in order to make the mistake, we had to have done something really well to have it in the first place. We had to have a victory to have it in the first place. Write down the victory. Have you fixed a broken relationship? Have you mended relationships? Do you have a great relationship with your boss, with a colleague, with a coworker that you need to work with somebody on another team in your company that you need to work with? These are victories. So again, stop this recording, stop the tape, and take a couple of minutes. And don't come back to me until you write down 5 victories that you have had in relationships. Okay, so you're back with me, and if you didn't stop it again, there was another one of those weird pauses where I just stared. So what are some other areas? Have you fixed anything? Now, some of you have heard me say that in my toolbox there's 2 things, right? A pen and a checkbook. I don't have a lot of fix-it victories. But I have fixed a couple of things, and they're on my victory list to remind me I can do it, which is really the point of the victory list. Is to give you the fuel and the energy and the reminder that you are capable, that you are talented, that you are gifted. So if you've fixed things, get it written down. Those are victories, right? Have you read a book? And when you read a book, you learn. That's a victory. The reason I created the blog a few weeks ago that you should be reading on an ongoing basis is because when you read, you learn. When you learn, you get smarter. You become more productive. You have greater self-worth. You become more intelligent. Those are victories. Write it down. Have you ever controlled your temper? I had an unbelievable temper for a long time, and there's occasions where still I'm like, I just get all frustrated and I can lose my temper. But more often than not, situations occur where I used to lose my temper, that I don't. Or I would lose my temper to a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, and now maybe I get aggravated to a 5. Those are victories because I'm growing. And when I have a situation where I don't lose my temper, that's a victory. Write it down as you're getting better at the things that have held you back. Every time you take a step toward getting better, write it down, write it down, write it down, add to the victory list. Have you accomplished a goal? Have you ever accomplished a goal? And I'm not talking about, to make $100,000 a year or $500,000 a year, or to sell the big account, or have you just simply had a goal to take your family on a vacation? Have you had a goal to take your family out to dinner? Have you had a goal to have a night at home with your family? Have you had a goal to get a car? Some goals are big, some are small, but every time you achieve one, it's a victory. Get it written down. Did you graduate high school? It's a victory. Did you graduate college? It's a victory. Do you have your GED? That's a victory. I used to work in college admissions, and people would say, well, I'm going to end up getting my GED. That's a victory. I talk to people now, well, I didn't go to college. I only have a high school diploma. Though it's a victory. Write it down. Why? Well, you need to be in college. I hear, well, David, if you don't have the diploma, graduating high school is a victory. Getting your GED is a victory. Getting your bachelor's degree is a victory, because what it proves to you is that you're capable of doing something you set out to do. That's why you write it down, because that's what you want to be focused on, is what you're capable of, what you've done. When you're feeling like you can't do it, you can't achieve it, you're not worthy, you want to have this bank of victories, this list of things that remind you just how awesome you are. So stop the tape again. Stop the tape and take a couple minutes, and just in that whole kind of, we'll call it miscellaneous area, just different things, just the first 5 things that come to your mind, things that have happened to you, big, small, doesn't matter, but just things where afterwards you went, I did it, I got it done, I accomplished it. Write them down. Now, go. So we're back for some, and some of you just stared at me again and thought it was really weird, and that's okay too. So why do we do that? Why do we write down our victories? Why do we want to compile this list? Why do we want to say, hey, you know what? I'm not great at finances, but I paid my bills. I pay my bills on time. It's a victory. Or at one time in my life, I paid my bills. I'm not paying my bills today, and a lot of people say I'm not worthy. Well, no, if you paid your bills in the past, you're capable of doing it again. So why do we do that? What are the benefits? Well, the first benefit is better relationships. Think about it. When you're feeling bad about yourself and you have no self-worth and no self-esteem and you don't believe you're capable of anything because you're focused on things that happened that didn't go well, or things you didn't get to accomplish, or successes you wish you had that you didn't have, when you're focused on that, how can you be the best partner, parent, family member, worker, spouse? How can you be the best at any of those? But when you're fully engaged with the idea that, hey, I've been there, look at these things I've accomplished. So that means that if I still have breath in my body, that means I can accomplish more. When you're of that mindset, what happens to your energy? What happens to your to just your passion? And what happens to your ability to relate better, to have better, stronger, deeper, just strengthened relationships with people? So that's the first benefit. Second benefit is it helps us break through fear. Hopefully, in these couple of pauses and in these first few things you've written on your victory list, hopefully you've written down a time when you were afraid of something and you did it anyway and succeeded. And every single solitary person who's watching this, and every other single solitary person in the world, has been afraid of something and conquered the fear. Something as minute as standing on someplace that's high up in the air and they're afraid of heights, to something as large as getting involved in a relationship after being hurt and then it worked out. Whatever your fear is, you've had a fear, you've broken through it. And by writing out your victories, the next time that you're afraid to do something that you really want to do, you can go back to your victory list and go, wait a minute, look at that. Remember that time right there? I was afraid. And I did it and it worked. So I'm not going to let the fear stop me now. Helps you break through your fear. Second benefit. Third benefit is that it helps us with our productivity. If you're at your job and you don't feel like you're any good at your job, and you don't feel like you're worthy to have the job, and if you don't feel like you're eligible for a promotion, or you forgot the whole idea that, hey, they hired me in the first place, which is a victory for me. If any of that is not front of mind, you start your victory list. now you start feeling good about yourself. You start looking at the work tasks you've completed, the goals you've accomplished, the projects you've done. The simple fact you got the job in the first place, which is a huge victory, gives you some confidence. And it takes your mind off of stressing about what you can't do, refocuses your mind on what you can do, and that alone makes you more productive. Potentially can impact your finances. A lot of people say, I'm not good at managing money. Have you paid bills on time before? Are you paying your bills on time now? Then you can work with money. Have you ever invested in something and it worked out? Then you're good with money. Whatever it is that has happened to you in the past where you have managed to get by. I know people who say at the beginning of the month, I don't know how I'm going to make it. And at the end of the month, they're like, I made it. That's a victory. And it can impact your future confidence to deal in higher level finances as things turn around, as things stabilize, as you get more money. And it will keep you from being afraid of getting more money. See, a lot of people will not go for and do things that could provide them more wealth because they don't believe that they're worthy to have it. And when you have written down some financial victories you've had, big or small or medium, it gives you the confidence because it reminds you you can do it. And the last benefit is the health. Have you ever lost weight? 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds? That's a victory. Your goal may have been 40, but you lost some weight. Have you ever been physically active? Today, yesterday, 20 years ago? You're capable. You write down these victories because at the end of the day, it allows you the next time you think, okay, my health is suffering here. There's nothing I can do about it. Go to your victory list. Yes, there is some things you can do about it. So those are the 5 benefits. Better relationships, more productivity at work, better finances, better health, and the ability to break through fear. But there's 3 items of note that we want to mention before we close up this week. And the first is you need to review your victory list and add to it regularly because you're going to have victories on an ongoing basis. So once you get your initial victory list done, review it. And it should have dozens and hundreds, if not thousands of victories in it. Big, small, little. I smiled at somebody and I made their day. I contributed $10 to this cause and it helped feed somebody. The littlest things are victories. They're things that you've done, that you've accomplished, that you've impacted people, you've served people, you've done what you were supposed to do, you've achieved, you've accomplished, you've reached goals. Pick your cliche. You've got victories. You should have hundreds, if not thousands of items on this initial list. Review it regularly. Add to it every time you get a new victory. Every single time. Keep it next to your nightstand. Keep it on your desk. Keep it wherever you keep your stuff that you would see regularly. Review it and add to it. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've given a lot of examples today, and they may not all apply to you, and that's okay. If you heard something today, well, that's not me. Okay. But you have hundreds of thousands of victories, and they may not have been mentioned today. But maybe something I mentioned today triggered something else that I didn't mention that is your victory. Do not concentrate on everybody else's victories. You focus on yours. That's number 2. The third item of note is that you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have things on your victory list that you've done successfully, and then later you'll mess it up. I do it all the time. I've got victories that I've had in relationships and in my work and in finances and in health. I've lost a lot of weight and then I put weight back on. I've had ups and downs, peaks and valleys. That's life. The reason you have the victory list is because when you have the valley, the victory list takes you back up to the peak faster because it reminds you you can do it. So that you don't languish in the, oh, I've messed it up. Oh, I went backwards. Oh, I made the mistake. No. You go to your victory list and go, okay, yeah, so I slipped up. I made a mistake. I fell back down. I lost the momentum. Whatever it is. But that doesn't mean I can't in the future be back where I was because, look, I've done it before. It says so right on my victory list. So get those victory lists started. As soon as we're done, if you haven't done it, if you did not pause this and you just stared at my face, I encourage you, when this is done, start writing. Start writing. Keep it with you every time you have a victory, because you have victories all over the place. You have. Every single person who's looking at me right now has had victory after victory after victory after victory, and you need to get them written out. And you need to review them, so that in the future, when you're feeling like you're unworthy, when you're feeling like you can't do it, when you're feeling like it's above you and you're beneath it, when you're feeling like you just haven't accomplished anything, you've got proof on paper that you have, because you have. Every single one of you has. So get that list started, review it, watch your health be impacted positively, your finances be impacted positively, your relationships be impacted positively, your productivity go up, and watch as fear becomes easier to break through, because of all the times in the past you have broken through fears. Do that, and you are on that path that is the So Good life. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. If you've read down below, I encourage you to share this. I am absolutely convinced that every single person who sees this knows somebody that, if they had a victory list to remind them how special they are, how great they are, how awesome they are, how gifted they are, how much success they've really had, it would take them to the next level. It would break them out of a doldrum they might be in, or both. Share this with whoever. Let's impact and serve people together. Till the next time, get out there every single day, discover something new, learn something every day. Reach for your dreams. Go for it. And live the life that is so good.